honor of how this chapter felt, we're doing the Dragon Ball Z vibe today, fam. Hold on. Tastes like a bit of acceptance. Yeah. People, Black Clover with chapter 305 with the return of Black Clover at that after last week's sudden break. It definitely felt like Black Clover went full Dragon Ball Z, end of Dragon Ball Z, with the relationship between Yuno and Langris after this chapter, especially just in general the whole thing for the most part. Like 90% of it really felt a lot of some good stuff and character development that you've seen in Dragon Ball Z. It felt somewhat inspired, honestly, and we're going to talk about it. But fam, I am very glad to be here at this fight. At the end of the day, again, this is like, you know, the final one of the three, you know, Zograti family or whatever we did already. Vonica Magicula, we got Dante's crusty ass up out of here, even though we still technically probably have to deal with Lucifero. But now we got Zenon to deal with, and we're here. It's Yuno's turn to take it over. Let's see how he does. Let's talk about it. Black Clover chapter 305. Let's get back to a little bit of that Black Clover greatness. Let's do it.
No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done.
Okay, people, so coming back to Black Clover, for starters, let's talk just a wee bit, because I'm going to have a whole other video about it, but of the colored page that we got, which was the results of the character popularity poll that kind of blew my mind to see who the hell was number one. Like, holy shit, Noel, really? But aside from that, just wanted to appreciate a little bit of the fact that we had a sudden break last week due to Tabata's, you know, health. Like, he's been talking that he wasn't feeling great, and then all of a sudden we get a, you know, a sudden break. That probably was, you know, him kind of needing that break and not necessarily wanting it, but needing it because he wasn't feeling good and everything that was going on with him. For him to come back swinging with a really nice colored page like that, shout outs to Tabata, shout outs to that hard work and dedication. Yo, his magic really is not giving up. But I'm just saying, fam, like, why you throwing these thirst traps? Like, yo, what you doing there with Noel? I'm just saying, lately he's been very heavy with the Noel fan service. We get a panty shot here, a shot here of this and that. This one, it looked like straight up you were making her into a model. Like, Tabata, you alright, fam? You good? Like, why are you doing this to us, okay? Like, yo, Asta looking dope, all of that jazz. Knocked, I don't know, he kind of looked like he was trying to be a model as well. You're like, what's going on, Tabata? Like, what are you doing to us? But shout outs to a really cool colored page. So the chapter begins where it left off with Yuno telling Langris, please buy me 3 minutes. He says he needs 3 minutes essentially in order to finish him off. He'll finish him off with his next attack if he has 3 minutes bought to him. And immediately, and I want to say I haven't said this last week or 2 weeks ago with the last chapter, that it kind of reminded me a little bit of the end of Z, Goku versus Kid Buu, where Goku is trying to charge up in Super Saiyan 3, and he's telling Vegeta, I need 60 seconds. I need 1 minute. If you could buy me 1 minute, I'll be able to muster up enough strength in order to kick his ass and finish things off. So that already kind of gave me that vibe, and I was like, well, you know, it's similar. It kind of sounds the same or whatever, same ballpark, but at the end of the day, it's still, you know, it's different circumstances, a lot of differences. I mean, for crying out loud, Yuno's not even the main character. Like, either way, regardless, because I started this off saying that, hey, it went full Dragon Ball Z, it still is its own thing. But for now, definitely is like, it's inspired, you could definitely say, at the very least, at the most. And you could even throw in that, hey, you're reaching, fam. You're reaching with that one. But we'll talk about it again later on. Because Yuno needs time. Basically, he needs to build up enough mana, and he can't do that. He can't build up the mana needed, the key needed, but he can't build up the mana needed while he's on the defensive against Zenon. He needs to basically just stay still, concentrate, build up the mana, so then boom, he has that one big attack to take him out. And essentially Langris, because it's only Yuno and Langris there, Langris needs to be a distraction so that, you know, Yuno has the time, because if not, Zenon's going to keep throwing attacks at him and Yuno never be able to charge up for this one final attack. The only problem is that up until this point, Langris has really only been able to evade and dodge from Zenon's attacks thanks to Yuno. So essentially, like, even him being a distraction, how long can he be a distraction? Like, in a fight, 3 minutes is a lifetime. Like, I know you watch boxing, UFC, all sorts of shit, and you'd be like, yo, they're going crazy, you know, they're going for X amount of time. 3 minutes in a fight, let alone these super power-filled, you know, magical battles and shit against demons, that sounds like a damn lifetime. 60 seconds sounds, 30 seconds sounds like a lifetime, especially when you're at that particular point. Like, you're literally fighting for your life, and it was only because your mans was helping, like, you know, dodge and shit like that, helping you to dodge, that you was able to do anything. How the hell are you gonna give him 3 minutes of basically, you know, manipulating the situation as a distraction? That's a tall order, even for somebody as, you know, highly acclaimed as Langris, former vice captain of the Golden Dawn. And it legit didn't feel possible. I want to say even Langris said, like, yo, it doesn't feel possible for me to even be able to do this. But, you know, he's a good dude. You know's better than me. I ain't gonna lie, because I would have just been at that point, I would have said, just do it. Like, no. I don't, just get it done. Like, no matter how you move, get it done. No. I would have flat out said, like, yo, do what you gotta do. I don't care, just do it. But, you know, he was like talking him up. He's like, yo, you know, you're the strongest spatial mage in fucking Clover Kingdom, fam. You could do this shit. This is easy for you. So he was doing it in a more nice way of like, hey, you know, we need to get this done. You strong. You my mans. You got this, bro. Which, again, better than me, because I would have been like, with all the shit Langris has pulled over the years and how he beat ForneverWorld's ass and shit, I would have been like, man, if you don't get your dumb ass out there and give me those 3 minutes, bro. But instead, you know, was like, yo, fam, you gonna let him do you like that? Like, meanwhile, on the sideline, you got Zenon there just like, yo, I know what you're capable of and what you're not capable of. Like, just stop. Like, y'all not doing this right now. I don't know what y'all trying to do, but y'all ain't gonna be able to get it done. And I ain't gonna lie, it kind of made me look a little bit at Zenon like, how smart are you? What is your intelligence like? Because throughout the battle, it seemed to me that he didn't realize or recognize that they were strategizing on him and that Langris was, you know, a distraction, so to speak. Like, if I was Zenon, like, and I'm looking, I'm like, well, all of a sudden, why is, out of the two people that are fighting me, and they're clearly on the defensive, they clearly are outmatched by me, why is one of them, like, jumping to the corner? What's going on here? And I don't think Zenon really picked up on that. Maybe he'll say in next chapter, like, I knew something was off, y'all were trying something, but it didn't quite seem to me, anyway, that Zenon knew what they were up to. However, it looks like at the very least Langris still had a few tricks up his sleeve, because when you're inside of basically Zenon's mana zone, you can't even use magic, basically, like, unless you're blessed and loved by mana, like, you know, which to this day that's still wild to say, but unless you're loved by mana or anything like that, you usually can't do anything unless you're a master at spatial magic like Langris. So I kind of gave him its props at the same time. Like, even though it's looking real bad for Langris out here, you know, he can't do shit against Zenon, Zenon's looking better and stronger than him, it's still giving him like, okay, he still could do something at the very least, because Langris is able to create his own spatial barrier within Zenon's spatial zone, which I know it's kind of like a little bit complicated to say the way I'm explaining it, but basically he's able to create mana inside of Zenon's mana thing that you're not necessarily capable to use mana to begin with. So Langris, he's still like, I don't want to completely shit on him. Part of me is always going to be bitter for what he did to ForneverWorld. Obviously he was a little bit corrupted at that point or whatnot, but I don't want to be completely biased against him. Like, Langris, despite being outclassed in every which way against Zenon, he's still putting up a decent front, especially considering he's doing this all to give 3 minutes to YUNO. It's not like he's doing this so that he could potentially win the fight against Zenon or anything like that. He's just trying to buy time, so I'll give him his props there. And then Langris, as he's doing these things, starts to reflect on YUNO, and ever since YUNO joined the Golden Dawn and how he basically hated YUNO, but looking back and reflecting and also showing his character development, it's probably the reason he hated YUNO was because they're both very similar, and that can happen. That's a real world thing where, like, hey, we're so similar that we clash so much and I have a problem with you, because it's almost like a self-reflection thing, like, yo, these are the things I hate about myself, so I'm gonna take it out on you. But also, if you want to simplify it, you know, just a little bit of jealousy, mate. And on top of that, you also add in that Langris had that chauvinistic, I'm better than you, all of that jazz, because he basically even says here that he never felt like he would lose to somebody like YUNO that could even surpass him, you know, a commoner. Meanwhile, Langris is of royalty, so you add all of that into one hell of a cocktail that creates somebody like what Langris was. I mean, again, Langris was a piece of shit. I hated Langris. I ain't gonna lie, I absolutely, even till now, I'm still like, hey, you know, he's come a long way. Still don't really like the bastard, but he's come a long way. And here's where, going back to what I said earlier about Zenon, once again gets added on, because Zenon's like, but, you know, you could do all this defense shit, but you don't got an attack that you can hit me with, right? And again, it makes me question, like, do you not realize what they're doing right now? You don't realize a decoy when you see one, Zenon? Like, we need a little bit of an intelligence check here. Get this man, check his IQ right now. And here's where we go back into the whole thing of what I started this video off saying. Again, Black Clover went full Dragon Ball Z, where Langris once again reflects and says, he used his powers to spur people on. He pushed the Golden Dawn with using his powers. It's almost as if his gravity, it made people want to go, and he was inspiring and all of that jazz. And he says, it's galling to admit, but Kakarot, you are better than me. You're the winner. He says, it's galling to admit, but you are the vice captain of the Golden Dawn, referring to Yuno. And honestly, it was a dope moment, and it was different enough from Dragon Ball Z. Don't get me twisted that I'm saying, like, it copied it. It was basically clearly inspired, but ultimately, it gave me that same vibe of when Vegeta said, Kakarot, you have surpassed me. You're the winner. You won, whatnot. That was like the ultimate character development. And for somebody like Langris, that he looked down on people like, a commoner coming from the fucking middle of nowhere, and, I'm royalty and I'm awesome, and to be able to get to this point of humbling yourself to say that this guy that you shitted on and thought you were better than, and because he's a common blood and all that jazz, he could never measure up to you or surpass you, to be able to come and say, no, you're the vice captain of the Golden Dawn. You basically won. That was powerful. That was a great moment for a character like Langris. And Langris isn't even a main character. You know what I'm saying? He's one of the people from the fucking Golden Dawn that a lot of us hated. So I got to give props where it's due. Shout outs to that moment. Shout outs to character development there. It did remind me a lot of Dragon Ball Z. Like, hey, buy me 60 seconds. And within those 60 seconds, Vegeta's going to have a character revelation and a big character developing moment. Like, it is what it is, but I liked it. And following all that, Vegeta was like,
he copied my whole fucking flow! Word for word, bar for bar!
And I love how after all of that motivational speech, all of that, it felt so good, these feel-good vibes, Langris really came a long way. Zenon just comes in, wrecks his shit, breaks through the barrier, and he's like, all that emotion and all of that jazz, I don't mean nothing to me, fam. That's cool and all, but at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is that I'm stronger. And I ain't gonna lie, I was just like, well, damn. You know what I'm saying? It's almost, if you want to get real metaphoric, and I don't think this is what Tabata was going for, but it kind of is interesting to note. It's almost as if, like, that's the ugly side of Langris that he's leaving behind, still trying to fight back one more time. Like, you're not leaving me behind. You're supposed to be a cocky piece of shit. Hey, again, metaphorically, it works at the very least, right? It's like Langris leaving his old self behind, but it doesn't want to quite go away, and it's in the form, the manifestation of Zenon. Like, hey, that sounds interesting, but that's not what's happening here. And I ain't gonna lie, again, more props to Langris. Like, he had heart. He didn't stop as all of that is going on, and as, like, you're looking like, my life is flashing before my eyes, fam. He continues to attack him. He doesn't give up. He doesn't quit, and that's really dope. I gotta give credit there, because especially, like, from a royal and all that jazz, you would think, he's gonna lay down and die, that's it. But for him to continue on, no, give that man his props. But the most beautiful panel of the entire chapter, with that bow and arrow, just, oh god, Tabata was cooking when he drew this shit. And he goes, wind spirit creation magic spirit of Euros. Why are we talking about Euros? I don't know, but when he charges that shit up, I ain't gonna lie, I'm wondering if Tabata will go dark like this. I mean, after the Gaja incident, I don't know how dark we can actually even get, but I wonder if there's a possibility that arrow's gonna go through both of them. If the only way for this shit to work is that Langris has to grab onto this motherfucker and pull like a, wow, Dragon Ball Z influence again, like when Goku grabbed Raditz so that Piccolo could hit him with the Makanko Sampo or Special Beam Cannon, like straight through. I wonder if we're gonna get a moment like that. And also, it gave a little bit more of the camaraderie of how Yuno really knows Langris, because he bet on Langris not wanting to lose. He bet on Langris getting pissed off, like, who this motherfucker thinks he is? So the fact that all this lined up perfectly is because bet on his comrade being the comrade that he's come to know. So it all lines in together of their camaraderie and their character development as a friendship, and how much it's developed. That's really, really dope. Like, you gotta look at the little intricacies to see that, there's a lot going on here. And chapter ends off, and honestly, I'm looking forward to seeing how this turns out, because they were lined up perfectly right there. Langris is right in front of Zenon. I want to ask you guys, do you think that arrow is going to have to go through both of them in order to, seal the deal, so to speak, or how's that going to work? What are your thoughts on this chapter? How did you feel? Did you feel like it went really, if you're obviously a former watcher of Dragon Ball Z, if you've seen the end where Vegeta admits that Goku is better than him, did you feel that type of vibe with Langris as he's holding him off for 3 minutes? And your overall thoughts of the chapter? I really liked it. way better than last week's, in my opinion, or 2 weeks ago, the last chapter. Anyway, yeah, we're back on course, and I'm excited again, and yeah, shit is hype. And your overall thoughts and expectations for Black Clover chapter 306 and beyond. Let's get it, baby. You know, it's time to take this final devil out the picture. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links are in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace in. And yo, Black Clover Z when? No. Have an awesome day.
To